when a girl asks me, right, on a first date, second date, whatever, is like, oh, what's the longest relationship you've been in? And I go, well, it's pretty deep. But when I was in seventh grade, this girl asked me out. I said yes. And I was so nervous that I never talked to her again after that. And so we've been together for, I think, like 15 years now. She's married. She has kids now. I still love her very much.
Yeah, just total like off the wall goofiness.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Come On Man. If you haven't done so already, please like, subscribe, hit those notifications. Drop a comment. Any comment will do. If you guys are watching on the premiere on Monday mornings, then sound off in the live chat. I'm usually in there while I'm editing videos, editing clips for TikTok or whatever. So sound off in there. We'll have a conversation. It'll be fun. But if you're just watching on the replay, comment below your favorite emoji, whatever. It doesn't matter. It all helps in the algorithm. If you guys are listening on your favorite audio platform of choice, please give us a 5-star review. Helps out more than you know. And I like to read them in upcoming episodes. So please do that. Please take the time to do that. If you look at my analytics, I think on the audio version, something like 60% of audio downloads is done on Apple Podcasts, like on iTunes. So most of you guys are out there listening on Apple, but not all of you guys are leaving the 5-star reviews. So please take the time and do that. And I'll read that in an upcoming episode. I periodically go through there and check. So follow me on social medias. The links are in the description. I'm on all the good platforms. My new TikTok account, Best Men's Pod, is doing pretty good. Support the show by joining the Patreon, patreon.com/comeonmanpod. You can join for as little as $10. If you guys need help with coaching, whatever it is, like I'm actually a certified master life coach. Check this out. If you guys don't believe me, actually got it right here. I'm master life coach certified. So, if you don't need help with dating, but you need help in other aspects of your life, take advantage of me, man. I'm going to be 44 this year. I've seen some shit, I've made mistakes. I've learned from my mistakes. There's all sorts of things I can teach you, man. So check it out, patreon.com/comeonmanpod. You can join the coaching's tier 2 or tier 3. But if you just want to support the show, join tier 1. It's only $10 a month. And then you get added to the beer credits at the end of these episodes. And you get all of these Monday episodes ad free. So you don't see all this stuff, all the intro stuff. But yeah, man. But also, if you want, if you need help with your dating life or whatever, the coaching's there too. I don't just do date coaching though. I can coach you in lots of different areas. So, and if you have a question, DM me on Instagram, and we can talk about it. We can see if it's right for you or not. Let's see here. Oh, you know what? If you guys are watching the premiere, don't send a super chat because I won't be able to share it, but send a super sticker. That supports the show as well. Get on the email list.comeonmanpod.com. I will send you some free stickers. And a lot of these stickers are also available on merch. So you can get like coffee mugs, hoodies, t-shirts, tank tops, all that fun stuff with these logos on it. I also have one that says there's no cold approach in the cow pasture in the merch store. So go to merch.comeonmanpod.com and get you some merch. And then if you're watching on YouTube, link down below these videos. I have my Teespring store. So you can just buy like right there on YouTube. It's pretty sweet. Check out my Practical Law of Attraction course, loa.comeonmanpod.com. That's loa.comeonmanpod.com. It's a mindset course. There's no magical genies and granting wishes and stuff like that. It's all psychology based, and it will help you figure out what you actually want in life and provide you the tools to actually get there. Once you learn this stuff, you can set goals so big that it will blow your mind. And I actually encourage you to do that in this course, because when you set goals that are so big that you like right now think are somewhat unattainable, when you attain them, it's a wonderful feeling, right? I did that with Rule Zero. I actually set that as a goal. I put that on my goal board and I focused on that. And guess what? I'm on Rule Zero now. And not only am I on Rule Zero, the first episode I was on, I hosted it. Like, that's crazy. That absolutely blew my mind. I follow these principles every day. I'm not just selling bullshit here. Okay. This stuff works. It's life-changing. Once you learn how to do it, it'll change your life. It'll change the game for you. All right. All that stuff being said, let's talk about my guest today. My guest, if you guys tuned in last week, I had 3% brother Jacob on. Well, this guy, my guest this week, is 3% brother Nathan. Nathan's been on the podcast before, but Nathan introduced me to Jacob, and Jacob was sort of Nathan's mentor. He's the one that sort of encouraged Nathan to get into the 3% man group and start studying the 3% man book and all the stuff that I talk about a lot. So Nathan's great, man. Nathan is one of the admins in the group. He when he first joined the group, I think he was working at the restaurant business or something like that. He was going on lots of dates. He had really great insight in chicks and dating. He still does. But then he left for the military. We won't talk about which branch that he's in. If you go back and watch the first episode that he and I did, I think we talk about the branch, but I don't think we talk about it in this episode so much. But yeah, he ended up leaving the group for a while. And he's like one of those guys that I see that, they think they got it. They find the girl of their dreams, and they sort of stray from the path. They stray from the path. They stop studying the material. And what he ended up figuring out was that the relationship he was in was just not the right relationship for him. So he ended things. She didn't dump him. He ended things, and then decided, you know what, I need to revisit this stuff, and found out, that he'd been slipping a little bit, and decided he needed to double down. So he came back to the group, reached out to me, and it's like the prodigal son returns. So that's sort of what this episode's about, the prodigal son. But Nathan's a good dude. Nathan's got a lot of great insights. He's out in the San Diego area, out, carousing, dating chicks and stuff like that, having lots of success. He's a handsome dude, but you know what? He's Filipino, which means that he's a short mofo. He's a short king. Oh, you have to be 6 feet tall. Bullshit. It's bullshit. Nathan could do it, but Nathan's, he's young, he's in shape. And there's a reason for this, guys. There's a reason to be in shape. All right. That's why there's a reason why we tell you guys to go to the gym, because it actually really helps you out in lots of areas. Well, Nathan's one of those guys. He's in great shape, looks good, great with women, great insights. I will bring you that conversation right after these words. Do you struggle to find the kind of women you want? Are you tired of swiping away all day on dating apps and only finding mediocre women? When you're out and about at the supermarket or at the mall, all you see are woke liberal women? You can't seem to find a traditional submissive woman that checks all your boxes. What if I were to tell you that the reason why you can't find your traditional submissive woman is because of your mindset, because of your paradigm? We get what we focus on in life. And you have programmed your mind to think that there's only trash women around you. You've programmed your mind by focusing on what you don't want in a relationship. To solve this problem, I've created my Practical Law of Attraction course. In my course, I will teach you how to reprogram your subconscious mind so that you will be hyper aware of the kind of women that will check all of your boxes. It's not that they weren't there before, it's just that you weren't aware of them because of your current mindset. So let's change that mindset today. Check out my course by visiting loa.comeonmanpod.com. That's loa.comeonmanpod.com. The law of attraction is nothing without action. So act now. All right, returning to the podcast after more than a year is 3% brother and fellow 3% Brotherhood group moderator, Nathan. Nathan was really active in the group when I first joined, left for the military, dabbled a little bit in the group, and then basically vanished for quite a while before coming back. The prodigal son returns.
I am back.
What's going on, brother? What's going on, man?
Life is good. I just actually moved here to San Diego, setting up life over here, doing just like enjoying it. It's great. I mean, like, it's winter time. There's snow in most places. We got a little bit of rain, some wind, but it's good. I love it.
It doesn't snow in San Diego. That's one of the things I loved about San Diego. Yeah,
Absolutely not.
I grew up on the eastern slope of Colorado, and we would just get absolutely dumped on because I grew up in like the mountains.
Right.
And think South Park, right? The TV show South Park. That's essentially where I grew up. And we would just get like 5-foot snow drifts, and my parents never had snow blowers, and they were like, "Why? We have
You gotta
two
just shovel
kids, two
everything.
shovels.
Yep.
Why do we need to buy a snow plow or anything?" So I absolutely hated snow. And when I was in the Navy and I went into A school, um, what I really made it a goal to be like top in my class so that I had first pick of orders when they came in. And
Yeah, where you wanted to go.
I ended up, I wanted to go somewhere where it never snowed, and I ended up being stationed in San Diego for a while. So
That's a good first pick. Everybody's like, trying to get over here, and I got super lucky. So I mean, like, I love it out here. It's nice. I grew up here.
mhm.
Um, I used to live over in like Temecula. Like that's where I went to high school.
Mm,
And I remember there was like a few times, in my childhood where it snowed just a little bit, but everybody was freaking out because we've never seen it before. And so it's either that or you drive up to the mountains to go and snowboard and stuff. But for the most part, especially where I'm at, I'm like, right on the beach. If you open the window, you could hear the freaking waves, and it's great.
yeah. Yeah. My last house when I lived out there, I lived up in Escondido. So I was really
Yep.
close
Mhm.
to Palomar Mountain. And if you wanted to see snow, you could drive up to Palomar Mountain, and there would be actual snow up there. But for the most part, like, down in the city, most people never experience snow. They might get hail, and then they would call it snow, but it's like, that's not snow, that's hail.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like it's coming out of the sky, it's white, it's snow, dude. Like, watch out. But I mean, for people in Colorado or other places where it actually really does snow, like this is nothing. Like I was
We're-
talking to somebody today and they're just like, wow, like this is it's raining like hell. And she's like, man, this is a type of weather that, we'd be still wearing like t-shirts and shorts outside. This is still pretty warm for winter. I'm just like, dude, I couldn't when I was in A school, I saw my first like blizzard, and that was crazy to me. I was just like, how do people even live out here?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
When
Whereas,
everything is like, it's like at least a chest high in snow. I'm just like, maybe the first settlers that came to this town got snowed in, and then they started building shit, and then they just stayed. They're like, fuck it, dude. It's like this everywhere. We're just gonna fucking figure it out.
yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, like, coming from the Midwest, the mild, rainstorms or even the hail or whatever, it was like, yeah, it's not so bad. But the people in California, just like the slightest bit of moisture on the ground, they cannot drive. And you're like,
Dude, like
what is going on with you right now?
One drop, and all of a sudden everybody's freaking swerving. There's a freaking accident left and right. It's just like, but I remember because I lived in Mississippi for a while before I moved out here. And like right when you cross, because I drove from Mississippi to here from obviously Mississippi, but through like Texas, Arizona, and once you cross the border, the state border into California, all of a sudden the driving is like nuts. It's like a switch goes on, and people are like flying, and I'm over here. Speed limit says 50, so that obviously means here go 80. Otherwise you're too slow. And I remember that was kind of like kind of living in a slower town, coming back here to like a metropolitan city area. Life's a little quick. You get used to chilling out, and then you get back here and it's just like nuts. It's nuts.
Yeah, definitely. So incidentally, for you guys out there in the audience that are looking for a group of like-minded men where you can swap notes, check out our 3% Brotherhood group. There's a link in the description. You have to have read How to Be a 3% Man at least once, and then be able to answer the admin questions to get in. But otherwise, it is a solid group of dudes. I've like met guys like Nathan. Nathan's one of the moderators in there. And Nathan and I were both moderators in the original 3% Man group that went defunct. When Chris got his count banned, but
Yeah. What the heck was that? Like I was just inviting somebody to the group too because they'd read the book. And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, dude, like, where is it? I'm like, it's here. And then I tried clicking in and it was all gone. And then all of a sudden everybody's messaging everybody like, yo, all the admins are like, what's going on?
yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah, well, what's funny about that is because when we would kick people out of the old group, we would also, ban that, like block them from the group.
Yeah.
And so people would often, after like say Luke kicked someone out, I would get a DM from somebody saying, "Hey, what happened to the group?" Right? And
Oh
so
yeah. Yo, that's what I thought initially. I was like, dude, what? How did I get booted? Like I'm one of the
Yeah.
I would have seen something coming up. And then when you said something, I was like, oh, you got booted too. And then we
Yeah.
found out it's not even there, you know?
Yeah, I was like, did I get booted, guys? Because we're in a group chat, and I was like, guys, what did I do wrong? Did I do something wrong, guys? Like, did I get kicked out? No, it just turned out that Chris got his whole entire account banned, and we had to like figure that out because in the group chat you could see that Chris's account was no longer there either. And you're like, what happened to Chris's account? Finally got a hold of him. Because like I follow him on TikTok and some other places, and I was like, dude, what happened to the group? And he was like, he didn't even know it happened. It was like he was like, wait, what? And then he goes and looks at his Facebook account, it's completely gone. So
Wait, his whole account, not just the page.
It was his whole entire account, and he was the only actual admin. Like we were all just moderators.
Okay.
And so since he was the only admin, when his account got banned, it took the whole group with it. So the 3% Brotherhood, I added all you guys as admins. You guys are actually like owners of the group.
Wow.
So
yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh, cool. Like, I mean, I feel like the difference, I mean, it's just how Facebook works. But yeah, the difference is like now that if anything were to happen with your account specifically, it's just a matter of a click to add you back on, add me back on.
It should be. And that's what I wanted to go. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to go for with this one. Cause I was like, I did create it under the podcast banner, the Come On Man podcast banner. And I created it from my page. Yeah. But I also didn't like, if something happened to me, I didn't want the group to completely go away. Cause that sucked, dude. There was like 1,400 guys in that group.
Yeah, it was. But you know what? There was a time, man, I call it like the golden era. I think it was like right as COVID hit, where it was really, really active, and I think all of us as moderators in there, we're also learning the material and asking questions and, like providing answers. And and I think what happened was, as we got better and, more and more options came, a lot of us got like hooked up. And then life started happening. And so, I mean, one of the questions that you asked is like, hey, or one of the things you said is prodigal son. It's like, that's kind of what happened to me. I got hooked up and then I got caught up in, just running my own life and doing stuff. And I think that in that time away, I've realized, especially when I reached out and the warmth that was there is like how important it is to have a 3% Brotherhood, to have that male support, like of guys after what they need to be after and willing to support those who are also willing to like learn, know? And so it was a warm welcome back, and it's kind of like a revamped page now that you kind of took over on making sure that it, everything's back to where it was after it was gone. But everything kind of happened really like, at least for me, very I'm gonna make up a word, but I'm gonna say synchronous. It was just it was synchronized the way that things happened for me and the way that my life was playing out and coming back to the group and it being all new, because it's really it's refreshing.
Yeah. One thing that like I tell guys all the time is don't dump your baggage on your girls. Save your struggles for your boys or your therapist, right? Like with a group like this is perfect for that, right? Because like if I have something that I'm really struggling with, right? I don't want to dump that on my girlfriend. So who am I going to go to? Right. So I'd probably make a post in the 3% Brotherhood and be like, guys, this is what I'm dealing with. What do you guys think?
Yeah. And that's what the group is for. It's for those, You know, it's for men that understand the material and understand the importance of having support. And like 9 times out of 10, you might be stressed out about something. And I know I have, you know, especially when I first started. And like, I don't know what's going on, whatever. I put up the post and you get that feedback. And then all of a sudden, like, you know, you're kind of like emotional levels are, you know, a lot, you're more centered, you know, and that's important, right? Because we all go through shit. Like we all, you know, like life happens. But then, you know, not everybody. And you look at a lot of social media, it's like, you know, some questions like, oh, who do you talk to? They ask for like random guys. Who do you talk to like when you're sad? And like all these clips are like this almost like a echo loop of no one. I don't talk
I
to
got
anyone.
nobody. I'm a man. I got nobody.
Yeah, and that's not how, you know, like you look at like, you know, like hunter gatherers, they did that shit in groups.
Yeah,
You
they
know?
were tribe. They were tribal.
Like nobody did shit alone. It was you die, you know. So yeah, it's just really, it's good, it's refreshing, it's cool to be back in the group. It's cool to see you. You know, you're still kicking ass. You know?
Trying to. Well, we were talking about this. We're sort of going off on a tangent, but that's fine. We were talking about this a couple of days ago, just having a chat, and I was saying how a lot of guys will end up leaving the group because they go off, they find the girl of their dreams or whatever.
Oh,
They they stop studying the material, and I'm just like, it's just a matter of time, you know, like 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road, they come back to the group, and it's like, what happened? Well, I stopped studying this stuff, you know, and it's not an indictment on the guys that do that. It's just what happens. It's just very common. And one of the reasons why I started this podcast is so that it would always be in the forefront of my mind, you know, because the work never stops. And if I, you know, rest on my laurels and just sort of fall back into old programming, Nurse Chick would drop my ass, dude. She would absolutely.
I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, you can't be mad about it. Yeah,
and it's funny too because it happens to the best of us. You know, like I talked to Dr. Robert Glover, and he was saying that when he was and I've talked about this on the podcast too, but I just love it because it's such an example of a guy that a lot of guys in the men's space, they look up to Dr. Robert Glover. He wrote No More Mr. Nice Guy, classic book, right? It's a must read in the red pill community. And the guy himself on my podcast said, well, you know, when I was reading the audio version of that, it was at, you know, I guess the contract ran out with whatever publisher that he was working with. He originally had some kind of voice talent do the original audiobook for it.
right.
And when that contract came up, he was like, no, I want to read it myself. So he read it. And as he's reading it for the recording, he's like, I stopped doing this. He stopped doing his own stuff. And he's like, I fell back on old programming here and all this stuff like that. And it was just a major refresher for him to go back and reread that stuff. So it's like for guys like that, you know, they come into the men's space, and there's other content creators that'll say, get what you need and get out. And I'm like, get what you need and get out, but at least reread the material at least once a year.
You have a solid, foundation. It's like, it's a mental gym, you know. You gotta work out that mind, and then like obviously practice it. But yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. You know, like Corey Wayne, I'm sure even reads his own shit, you know, just so he'll remember. And like you said,
I hope he does. Yeah.
Well,
yeah, and he says it in the book. He says it in his book that when he thought at one point that he had it under control and realized that he was messing up in certain areas and had to go back and reread the material that got him to where he's at, you know? So it's like, it happens to everybody. To everybody.
Complacency, being comfortable. Yeah. I mean, I think that it's really important to continue to just strive. Like, why not read it a few times? Why not just have it in your subconscious, maybe in the background? If you already read it 10, 15 times, you know, like it's, and that's something that I need to go through another. I haven't read the thing in like 4 months, you know, and even then before that, you know, I've read it 15 times, but after that, you're like, oh, I could cherry pick. but it's not that. You actually have to go through the whole thing, because it's I think it creates a really great foundation. For me, that's been the biggest book to make the biggest impact for me in my regular life, my business life, my friendship life, my dating life. It's done me freaking, it's changed my life. Like, I can't, and I love it. And I love guiding other men that are looking for a change, because it's so logical, and it's easy to freaking read or easy to listen to, and it's easy to practice. Because at the end of the day, one of the quotes he says, or one of the quotes I believe he says, is common sense isn't so common, right? It is common sense. Now I might be like paraphrasing somebody else, like, so you could quote me on that one, but
I haven't read the book in a couple of months myself, so I'm not going to correct you, but let me ask you,
making up shit. Who knows?
I the last time I read it, I think was, I want to say like November or whatever. Nurse Chick actually wanted to listen to it, and I was like, yeah, I'll listen to it. So we ended up listening to it on audio. So that I'm on my 21st pass through it.
Yep.
What was like, how many are you still keeping count, or have you lost count?
I'm at, the last time I counted, I was at 15. And then after that, I started doing like the whole cherry picking thing and looking up specific videos for stuff. And then I realized, like, oh, I got to go through it again. So right now, like, I think my Audible's on like halfway point to finish
on
it.
your 16th. On your
Yeah,
16th.
on my 16th. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I found with the audio or reading on a paperback, however you want to do it, it's really important to go through the entire thing. And I don't recommend, like he says in the book, like, oh, check out this video, or Google Corey Wayne, blah 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 blah.
I've never done it.
I've done it. It's kind of pointless, and because if you do that, it'll take you to one of his articles, which takes you to one of his YouTube videos, which tells you to read the book 10 to 15 times. So just read the book 10 to 15 times. You'll be fine. What would you say? So you're about halfway through, you said. Have you got any new aha moments?
Well, so I was in a relationship for about a year and a half.
Mhm.
And obviously I was more so cherry picking the information for like a consistent, healthy relationship, and setting the frame, setting healthy boundaries, continuing to keep the love alive. But as I'm going through it again, being single, there's a lot of stuff I forgot about, like game, and going out there, and I had to reread that, because I'm single again. It's like I saw, like, I wasn't broken or nothing, right? I just realized in my relationship it wasn't what I was looking for, and like he said, there's going to be somebody out there that could love her more and give her the love that she needs, and there's going to be somebody to give me the love that I need and I want, and so having the balls to say, hey, like, this is not what I want. I was really proud of doing that, because in the past self, a few relationships ago, it would always be, the relationship kind of tapers off, but I digress. As far as getting into the dating market and understanding, like, for one, he talks about clubs, and you're going to clubs, you're drinking, you meet a girl, you set up like a weekend date, whatever. She shows up at your house, and she's not as pretty as you thought she'd be. She's an ogre, or something.
Yeah. That story actually is really funny in the book. Yeah. He's like, God, like, how much did I drink that night?
Yeah, it's like, man, I had a super good time, had a super hot chick, whatever, exchanged numbers. Now she's over, and you're just like, fuck, dude, like, get out of here. But I think taking that day approach, and I tell my friends, I call it social fluidity, where just all day you're just saying, hey, what's up? You're asking random people questions like, hey, how important is it to, like, clean? I was asking this pregnant lady the other day, just because I had a date, right? And so just to get myself talking, I was at a car wash talking to all the people there, just making new friends left and right. And this lady was right next to me, parked, really pretty lady. And I was just like, hey, how important is it to, have your car clean? It's going to be my first date. I'm kind of nervous. I told her that. And then she just went on and on at, this is what girls look for. And this is why it's important. It shows what kind of man you are. And then it's just like, okay, cool. Like, how long could I keep her talking, And she just kept going. Eventually I was like, hey, I got to go. But thank you so much, for all that insight. And so
What'd you call that? Social lubrication?
Social lubrication, or I call it social fluidity, just being
social
fluid.
Fluidity. Okay, that's what.
Yeah, you feel good already, and so when you feel good, you walk anywhere. If you're ever in a crowd and you see a whole bunch of, you're not having like the best day ever, you see a crowd of people having a lot of fun, it makes you like, oh man, what are they doing? And so when you go about your day, you go to a big social place and you're laughing with the freaking cashiers, you're talking to people in line, whatever, and they're laughing with you, and you warmed yourself up and you meet some awesome chick. Well, you've been already talking to everybody. So it's like a no-brainer to just be like, hey, you're really cute. Like, I want to take you out. Can I have your number? Or give me your number,
Yeah. So I learned a very similar thing from Benny from the group, Benny Lichtenwalder. People who listen to the podcast are very, very familiar with Benny. He's been on like a million times.
Benny's awesome.
Benny's rad, man. But Benny called it social momentum, but it's the same idea. You basically, like, on a day of a date, you get up in the morning and you literally talk to everyone you run into. And by the time you hit that date, you're already used to talking to everybody. You're very social, you're just like, hey, like you're that guy. And it's like, dig that.
It's like the feeling that they have, especially because like when you're practicing this stuff, you're going on multiple dates, right? And it's just that when you come in and you're able, like this person, obviously, depending, you never know, but most girls I go on, they're kind of nervous about the first date, they'll tell me 15, oh, I was so nervous to meet you. I'm having, so much fun right now. Like, thank you. Right. You're there. And it's in the book too. Like, girls will thank you. No one's ever made me feel this way. And genuinely, that's like how any person, it's like, absolutely. You leave with something, right? I'm here to give. And, with that social lubrication or social momentum, it's just like that polarizing effect when a girl walks into a first date and she's kind of nervous, but you're, one, you already know the place you're taking her, so you're comfortable there, and you bring her into your comfort. It just makes conversation and her pretty much spilling her heart so much. It's so much fun because you're not over here nervous and you've been talking, you already feel good, so and then if she's a drag, well, you're not a drag.
Yeah.
So then you could be like, hey, I'm gonna go.
It's funny that you bring this up, like a first date thing and like girls talking and stuff like that. I did a live stream earlier this morning. So on Monday's episodes, this is all pre-recorded, so space-time continuum. But I did a live stream this morning on like when women are pursuing guys, right? Like how to know like when chicks are into you and stuff like that. One of the things that someone in the live chat brought up was, well, he asked a question. He was like, well, like, what do you talk to girls about on dates? And I was like, one, like, if I'm talking about stuff, I'm talking about stuff that I'm into, because you want chicks to join your lifestyle, right? But two, you're overthinking it. I was like, you want to get her doing 80% of the talking. And you're doing, so you want to be mysterious. You want to, really just be the one asking the questions and really let her do all the legwork when it comes to talking, because the less you say, the more mysterious you are and the less she knows about you. But the better the listener you are, the better that she thinks that you are at communicating. And she just was like, oh, like it builds rapport when you're a good listener with chicks, and chicks love to talk. So just let them,
Absolutely. And it's just like, one of the things that Corey Wayne even says is like, one of the easiest ways to make a girl not attracted to you or fall out of attraction is by talking her out of it. And that could easily be, it could easily be, that could be avoided by just asking open-ended questions. And then, she'll answer and say something like, oh my gosh, one of my biggest passions is, this, that, and the other. And I started when I was 6. And it's like, what? Like when you were 6, like who introduced you to that? Painting or art or dancing, singing? Oh, well, there's this time where I went to a thing and da-da-da. And it's like, oh, and you just keep, after that, it's like 3 hours pass by and she goes, oh my gosh, I totally forgot like to ask you questions, like, what about you? Like, what do you do for work? It's like I fight Batman on the weekends, like,
Oh, yeah! I wanted to bring that up because
Jacob,
yes, I was gonna say, thanks for introducing me to Jacob. It's so funny
here in a couple days.
Yeah, that's what he said. So,
Mhm.
so for the audience members that are like out of the loop here, if you guys tuned into last week's episode, I interviewed Jacob, who has been in the 3% Brotherhood this whole entire time, but in the shadows,
In the shadows. Yep.
He like wasn't participating, but he's like, oh, I followed everything that you've done, Paul. Like, like, well, what? Anyways, but he came up with the Batman concept that all of us in the 3% man group, now the 3% Brotherhood, we all use this like on a daily basis. When chicks ask us, what do we do for a living? We never tell them what we do for a living. We say, oh, we, fight crime dressed as a bat on the weekends. It's the whole Batman story. And chicks just, it's playful banter and chicks think it's so funny, but it's like at the end of the day, when you're done with the date, she's like, holy shit, I don't know anything about this guy. It's perfect.
And it's great because when they're excited to get to know you and they want to know more and they're trying harder, like for the most part, like women want to feel rewarded for their effort. And when they get those little gems of your life and start to actually figure out maybe what you do, after a few dates or, something really, I guess, deep about yourself. I don't know, but they really took time to get there.
Mhm.
And so, I think what you're, like the playful banner, like, another thing that I'll say, I mean, dang, it's going to be up. Like everyone's going to see this. This is one of my favorite one. But, they'll be like, well, what do you do for work? And it's like, well, I rob banks. And actually, this date is here. I'm here to look for a getaway driver, and I don't know if you have one, but a matching ski mask is a requirement. So did you bring it? And they'll be like, I don't know. I'll find one. I was like, it has to be bedazzled. Otherwise, like I can't go on public.
Has to be a bedazzled ski mask.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're just laughing and it's fun. It's like, so it's creating that comfort and that safety. And it's just I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's good stuff too. Like one thing too, like it's like we all know this stuff. But like I read other guys' books and material, and I don't know if you've read it. Jacob's been reading it though because of my TikTok videos and stuff like that. And I guess he's been following me this whole time. But I did a whole series on Rollo's what is it, the Player's Handbook, and I did a series on Rollo's 49 maxims of game that he lays out in this book. And one of them is women want to feel like they've gotten
my phone went and called 911 just now.
What? Your phone called 911?
Yeah, I think an emergency tab kind of like freaking popped up on my phone. And then all of a sudden it started doing a warbling. And then it said, hello, good evening. This is like 911, or you called 911. So
did you just hang up on them because they're going to come back and be like, oh no, they're going to send cops to your house to make sure that you're okay? Like,
yeah, I literally just hung out. So shoot, there might be police here.
Well, if the police come and raid your place, well, we know
they'll find all the diamonds. Dang it.
They'll find all the diamonds. No, so what I was saying though was that so Rollo's lays out the 49 maxims of game, and one of the maxims is that women want to feel like they've figured you out using nothing but their female intuition. And that's a lot. One of my Patreon clients today just sent me a video from a guy who I actually follow. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's a guy in the law of attraction space. And he sent a video talking about how you need to be vulnerable with women. And I was like, no, like you actually want to be more of a mystery with women. You don't want to like put your heart on your sleeve,
No,
because women want to like sort of
earn it.
pull that out of you. They want that. They need that in order to build attraction. And if you're just like an open book and you just like lay everything out like that, that will actually turn a woman off faster than anything.
Yeah. That's one of the ways like to really get someone to ghost you. You know, that's like one step behind blowing someone's phone up is being too open about everything, answering serious questions with serious answers. You know, like your first few dates should be about like fun, like enjoying each other's presence. You know, you're dating them, and so everybody's putting their best foot forward. It's not at all being disingenuous or disingenuous. It's really about, you know, giving that time for bonding and rapport to be built. So, you know, I remember I went out with my boys, and this is after I broke up with my girlfriend, and I'm okay. I'm doing great, right? So I'm enjoying myself, and you know, I'm kind of teaching them a little bit of game and just seeing what they got. Handsome dudes, right? Handsome dudes, confident dudes,
Strapping. Yeah,
absolutely. And so, you know, my friend goes up to a group of girls at a table, and you know, you see them laugh immediately, da da da, and then he says something else, and then you see them all look back at us at our table, and then you know, one of the girl kind of like nods her head, like, you know, no or whatever, and then he comes back and he's like, oh, bro, I tried, and I was like, oh, okay, it's all good, dude. What happened? And he goes, well, I came over there and I said this really funny joke, and everybody was laughing. And then, you know, I just went and let them know that you just broke up with your girlfriend and we're looking for cool girls to hang out with. And I was like, bro, dude.
Why did you tell them that?
Like, you don't do that. Like, who cares? Like, I'm not going around telling people that, you silly goose. You know, like, it's all about keeping that, you know, and I guess what they said to him was they were like, oh, well, we're out to have fun and we're not here to like take care of anybody. Rightly so. 1,000%. Absolutely. You know? And but if he'd gone about it and just been like, hey, you know, you guys are cool and we're super cool, so we're gonna hang out, you know, and they'd be like, oh heck yeah, or like, I don't know, you know, but yeah, that would have been an end. You don't have to throw in all that.
No one wants to hear about your baggage about how you just got broken up with, or you broke up with somebody. Like, no one wants to hear that.
No way. Like when a girl asks me, right, on a first date, second date, whatever, is like, oh, you know, what's the longest relationship you've been in? And I go, well, it's actually, it's pretty deep. But when I was in 7th grade, you know, this girl asked me out. And, you know, I said yes. And I was so nervous that I never talked to her again after that. And so we've been together for, I think, like 15 years now. She's married. She has kids now. I still love her very much. And yeah, you know, so I'm kind of cheating, you know, just
total like off the wall goofiness. Yeah, chicks actually like really like that sort of banter. They really do.
Yeah, I mean, why shouldn't it be that way though? You know, it's great. It's fun. It's fun for you. You get better at your freaking quips. Like it's just a good time.
Yeah, a lot of guys do make that mistake where a girl goes, oh, what's the longest relationship you've been in? And they just like answer seriously. Oh, well, like, no. Everything is a fucking shit test at this point, you know, especially like early on. Just treat everything like it's a joke. Everything's a fucking joke.
Yeah.
And like, you don't take things seriously and you're having a good time, and like chicks are just like magnetized to that.
So this date I went on, really cool girl, really funny, laughing, like, you know, people are looking at us because we're over here, like, you know, at the bar, just like, or the restaurant bar, just laughing, having a great time. And she asked me when we're in the car going back to my place, she's like, you know, so what's the one thing that, what are some things that you don't like about yourself? Right. And I was just like, what are you talking about? I freaking love everything about myself. I'm freaking awesome. She goes, Oh my God. Thank you so much. I love that.
Yeah.
You
You're
know,
like,
but
oh, I hate this.
like,
And just start going down this dark rabbit hole of
sometimes I love
depression.
too hard and I've had my heart broken a lot because I'm such a giving person. It's just like, dude, shut up. Like, say something. What do you love? I can fly. You know, when
Mhm.
your eyes are closed and you're asleep, I'm able to levitate. You know, like
Yeah.
crazy shit. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Just yeah, the more absurd the better, honestly. That's you know what's funny? Have you ever read The Game?
The
But
game. Who wrote it? Probably.
Neil Strauss. Neil Strauss. It's
I want to say yes, but probably like briefly. I
or
cherry
a while back. It's a classic. It's about like the pickup artists, right? Of like the early 2000s, right? Like
mystery method.
mystery and yeah, all those guys. And the funny thing is
Mystery
about the funny thing, like I mentioned it a lot in my podcast because the reason why I love that book is not necessarily the pickup artistry stuff about it. It's like the history of the pickup artists. And so one of the things in that book that like, you know, one of the guys in the book is Ross Jeffries, who's like the king of NLP pickup. And they start talking about like all these people's connections with everybody, right? And one of them was David D'Angelo was a student of Ross Jeffries, and David D'Angelo came up with Double Your Dating, right?
Right.
And if you read Corey Wayne's book, like Corey Wayne mentions David D'Angelo in there, and a lot of Corey Wayne's stuff is cocky, funny type game, which all came from David D'Angelo. You know, it's like I just like the, you know, the history, like the family tree of game.
Yeah,
So,
I remember you were explaining that all to me, and I'm sitting over here like a little history lesson. Like, dude,
no,
that's crazy.
it's
That
fascinating. Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. But yeah, the whole idea of just being absurd on a date and just being like totally like ridiculous, that's all cocky, funny shit. It's like you don't take anything seriously. But the funny thing is, like, women really respond to that. They really do. And I think that's why David D'Angelo went that route with game, because it's such an easy way for guys to learn game as opposed to memorizing pickup tricks and NLP and how to mesmerize chicks on a date. It's like, dude, just be a fucking like absurd goofball and chicks just eat it up.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that stuff. You know, like in the mystery method, I think one of the biggest like takes I got from that was Kino escalation.
Mm-hmm.
Right, was a progression of touch and comfortability. And then I think also, you know, there's an excerpt in that book saying that it takes about like 7 hours for a woman to feel comfortable enough to sleep with you, right? And so the way that you would get past that 7 hours, obviously you would do like the first date, second date, or you would move to multiple locations on your first date, right? Because then it feels like you've been to more places and spent more time, and therefore, you know, you're in that level of comfort. And what I learned mixing that with Corey Wayne stuff, because Corey Wayne teaches that too, you know, 2 to 3 places when you go on a date.
Yeah, have a backup location. Yep.
That should be a standard for everybody, especially first dates. Like, run the same place. Like, you're comfortable, you know the staff there, you're having a great time, you're chivalrous, like you're a cool guy.
One thing I tell guys is that the girl should be the only person that's on that first date. You've been on that first date 100 times because you go to the same place every time and you take chicks to like your second location every time. Like, you've ran this playbook a bunch of times.
Yeah. And I think that's just like, that's the way it should be, you know, like you should be in there confident, you know, knowing the area, knowing where to go. Like, why not give somebody the best experience that, you know, you can. Right. And so, yeah, I love that. Like, that's how I've been doing it since day one, getting into the book. And when it comes to Kino escalation, for, I don't know who knows what it is, but kinesiology, like touch, you know, it's the gradual, you know, getting someone comfortable enough that in the next, like, you know, me and Luke actually used to race, right? Let me pause, right? But when we'd go out on dates, we'd see how fast it would take us to start be making out with this, like, whoever we're dating. And so first it was like, oh, dude, I think Luke was like, I got it in 45 minutes. I was like, oh, dang, that's crazy. Then I hit him back. He's like, all right, 30 minutes for me. And then he hit me back. He's like 15. And I think it stopped when I was like 12, or maybe he said 12. But we'll leave that up to speculation, But
I'll take your word for it. Take your word for it. Yeah.
And so
people that have listened to the podcast, they know who Luke is. Luke's been on the podcast like a million times.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay, I miss that guy. I gotta give him a call.
Yeah. Switching gears here though, but I really wanted to ask you about this. So you and I were chatting the other night, and I was telling you about my practical law of attraction course and how I took all the chick crack and quantum theory stuff out of it, which includes the whole concept of the law of vibration. Now you said something really fascinating, because I was joking that there's no crystals and chakras in my course, and you were saying that, like what you do for the military, we won't get into it, but you do stuff with like electronics and like radio waves and stuff like that. We'll just leave it at that. But you guys actually use crystals because it amplifies frequencies and radio waves, right? Did I get that right?
Well, it keeps timing, and it allows a consistent flow state of whatever like input you're putting through. So if you need like a precise timing on something, when you push it through quartz, just like every watch has quartz in it, like it's kind of a
I thought that was just the name of a company, but no, it's actual quartz movement.
Yeah, there's actually a crystal in your stuff. Well, the nice ones. And it keeps timing and it keeps rhythm. And so when we're talking about vibrations and things of this sort, it's like when you give off that confident energy that allows people to sync with yours, that masculine energy, like, oh, woo woo, it really is. You could feel that presence, and then you could see people feel relaxed, and people that inspire and that are able to I guess influence people without even saying words. And it's that presence. So you're almost the crystal yourself, right? You're the catalyst to that. And getting into vibrations and masculinity and femininity, that polarizing vibration, I truly believe it's that, hey, as a masculine presence, this is the way that we're going. This is the way that I'm taking it. And with your feminine energy, you're going to sink into that mode. And so when you keep that frame, because we talk about frame all the time, you're the crystal that catalyzes that perfect timing in a relationship. Or, in any, you could look at friendships, businesses, even. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. The way, so I wrote this down as a question to ask you about it though, because, like I am a law of attraction guy, Absolutely. And I actually, so there's 3 explanations for it. And I talk about this in my course. In fact, like, I'll just put this up here. Talk about this in my course. That was cool. But the thing is, like, a lot of people are turned off by the concept of law of attraction, right? But there's three explanations for it. One is a spiritual one that, like you're dealing with like the creator, right? So if you're a very spiritual person, you'll probably gravitate towards that explanation. The second one is on quantum theory, which, if you really want to go down a rabbit hole, take a look at the idea of quantum entanglement and quantum field theory, right? Just go Google that. I'm not going to explain it, but it's crazy. It basically, in layman's terms, it really talks about how your thoughts really do impact your perception of the universe around you. It really does. And it's fascinating stuff. And that's where the concept of vibrations comes into. And if you really study the the idea of law of attraction, it's a lot of it is your thoughts impact the vibrations that your body puts out, and those vibrations attract like vibrations and blah, 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 blah. Right. So, but I left all that stuff out because there's so many guys in the red pill space, guys in the just, manosphere in general that are just like, that's all bullshit. Right. So right. I was like, okay, well, let me take this course and just break it down and talk about it in terms of the third explanation, which is psychology. And really, a lot of the stuff is changing your mindset, changing your subconscious mind. Now, if you do believe in like the quantum theory stuff, when you change your subconscious mind, that does impact your vibrations. So there you go. But if you leave all that explanation stuff out of it, it just leaves the idea of reprogramming your subconscious mind. So that's really how my course is broken down.
Right.
But going back to the crystals thing, that's really when we were talking about it the other day, I was like, this is fascinating because the idea of crystals really does talk about, that really does sort of tie into the idea of your vibrations and why there's a lot of people in this space that are like, oh, crystals are important,
Yeah. I mean, like there's something about, like walking on the beach, like barefooted, like there's something calming about it. And it's just, it's relaxing for us. There's something that calls us kind of back to nature, and nature calls us back to, I guess, being a little bit more primal. And I feel like society in whole is kind of going this really, it's demasculating men. And now there's this big call, whenever there's like a shift right, there's a giant shift left, and it's always that way. It's always been that way. And with that being said, it's like, well, what's this big shift now? You have movements like Reject Women and just freaking men going their own way, which I think it's cool concept, but then also gets into the black pill where now you're blaming women for things. And it's like, with all that being said, you're talking about the subconscious. And I think that our minds are trained, or we could train our minds to find the solutions that we need. As you continue to have positive affirmations for yourself, like stop, like make it a habit to say good things rather than say negative things. Mm-hmm. Make it a habit to go after the things that you want. Right. And when you run into a roadblock, find a solution. Right. Because I truly, like, it's like, oh, things kind of attract. It's like, well, like you've been training your brain to see the patterns that give you the best results for things, right? Like if you had continued to be negative, you wouldn't have seen that opportunity or gone down the route to explore. Mm-hmm. But because you've been training your brain, like I truly believe that your neural networks start to bring that, like you start to see the patterns that bring prosperity in the areas that you're looking for. And as you physically move that way, like positive affirmations are great, absolutely. But moving in that direction to back up what you think is what really builds that confidence. And it really gives you that physical foundation to start like reaching out and getting what you want. And so I know it's like people hear vibration, it's all the same. It's just different words.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I could hear it and see it literally because that's stuff that I've worked with, where it's like, what's the input of this and what's the output of this after hitting this piece of quartz that weighs this much, or is it this, things like that. It's all simple. I think it's all pretty simple.
Yeah. Like you probably think in frequencies, right? You're like, oh no, that wavelength is like this and the sign and blah, like whatever. Like
when you're staring at it all day, it becomes like second nature, where it's like, oh, okay, I just need to tweak this.
It's
like, I gotta make sure this is going that way. And
it's like the Matrix when the guy's looking at the code going down the screen. He's like, all I see is blonde, brunette, redhead. Like
it's all ones and zeros, and especially when you get into this stuff and you start practicing, you start to realize it really is easy. When you're looking at like the 80-20 principle, like, boom, that's like made for you. Okay, so how do you keep her attracted? Well, you continue doing the stuff you did the first freaking week. That's a commitment. Like that's a big commitment. You're asking a lot of yourself, and that's a good thing because that just makes you better. And so there's that. And it's like, well, how do you find girls to meet? It's like, well, if you're out there enjoying your life and someone catches eyes, you're already smiling.
Mhm.
You got like 3 seconds to walk up and be like, hey, you're really cute. What are you about? And then be like, oh, yeah. And then it's like, cool. Well, I want to hang out with you. Give me your number. And you're like, okay. And then you do that, like, say 5 times a day, you got 5 times a day. You get, 5 times a day in a week, you have 35 numbers. You look at the statistics on that, out of those 35 people, you got probably 40% that'll pick up. And out of those 40%, you probably have a 50% out of that, that'll set up a date with you. And then you probably have out of those 35 girls numbers that you got, like 7 that are actually going to go on the date with you. But then when you start looking at it and you start looking at the ones and zeros, how it all works, and you just allow things to happen, like you start to get your results. And I think a lot of people get caught up in like, oh, well, what do I need to do? What do I need to say? And like you were saying, with like having these different pickup lines and all these different things to say, like they're cool, right? Like if you can make it natural, but like, or you could just really enjoy
relax and don't overthink it. Yeah,
enjoy your life, have fun. If you see a cool girl, say hi, get her number. But then again, I was before I knew the book, it wasn't so simple to me. And now that when you go through it long enough, you realize like this is all really pretty basic, to be incredible and consistent and strong inside someone's life, to be valuable inside someone's life. It's really that consistency, and I just love it. I love healthy relationships between men and women. I love when a guy doesn't have options and then he has all the options in the world. He has like Google spreadsheet out or a Google calendar out. It's great. So I think it's good for the world.
That's probably one of the most rewarding things I found since doing this podcast and the content creation stuff is you'll get the one guy, like, and this happens occasionally, but you'll get the one guy who was like straight up MGTOW, black pill, and then he'll see the content, it'll start resonating with him, he'll start testing it out. Let's see if this guy, what he says is real. He'll go out and test it out and go, holy shit, I just got a number. Holy shit, I just got a date. Holy shit, I just, hooked up with this chick and I haven't had, whatever. And it's like, and then they come back in the comments. They're like, dude, this is life-changing shit. And you're like, that is in itself.
It relaxes you. It relaxes you because I think you just realize that you suck. But then here's the cool thing about sucking at stuff is that you could get better. And it's a skill. It's like a learnable skill. Here's the material, dude. If you really want it, you could learn it, or not. You could continue to suck. It's like, it's when I look at some of the stuff that pops up on social media, it's like, like I was talking about earlier, black pill. It's very like, oh, these women are all thoughts, like, and they're bad, like, fuck them and leave them.
There's no good American women out there. You know that, right?
Yeah, absolutely not. Not one. Not a single one.
Not a single one. We're a giant fucking country. We have easily like 200 million people here. None of them are good.
Yeah, and I'm just like, like part of me, right? Part of me is like, cool. I'm happy you think that way, dude. Because like,
more for me.
I slide, man. But it's just like part of me is like, damn, dude, that's sad that you think that, or at least you're pushing content to make people believe that. Because if you found a quality woman, or you're dating multiple women, and you have your list on the type of woman that you want, really being intentional about that, you're going to filter her out. You're going to filter that like toxic, crazy, woman out of your life. And then on top of that, like from these interviews, I see a lot of guys go up to girls like at clubs and stuff. For one, women don't say what they mean, they say something, but what they want is different. Right. So what they're saying, and then people just like guys watching it is like, oh, I'm awakened. It's like, no, dude, it's kind of always been that way. As far as saying things they don't mean. And
always just watch what they do. Just watch their actions.
And the whole point, right, is having a strong masculine presence and continuing that attraction. It's like, how do you do so? Well, read the book. Read the book, ask questions, be mysterious. Well, how do you be mysterious? Like, what, do I have to like walk around in a cape and do magic tricks and shit? It's like, no, dude, like allow her to earn learning more about you, reward the great things that she does for you with more dates, and keep that going. And then if she does anything to like, be disrespectful, just as you hope somebody that respects themselves would do for you, you check them. You say, hey, I don't like that. And I don't want you to continue that behavior. And if you do, I'm a dip. And then when people have healthy boundaries, like the attraction grows because you're not some like fucking dude who could just be stepped on, or, you're not a doormat. And I think it's important to understand. I like Corey Wayne's stuff. And I feel like there's a lot of dudes out here that are putting out, and I think it's very important. Yes, like chase after the 6 figures if that's what you want. Absolutely work on your body. Absolutely, be a stand-up guy. But having hatred for something that you don't understand is only a detriment to yourself. And so like take the time to understand it so you could start winning, dude.
Yeah.
It's just that's the way I see it.
That's a really great point. I only got a couple more questions for you here and then we can wrap up. You're planning on making your own content now, like going into more of like the spiritual aspect of dating and relationships, right?
Yeah.
Have you started making any of that yet?
Okay, so due to my work, blah 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 excuses. Just due to
excuses are like assholes. Everybody's got one.
Everybody's got one. So I haven't started yet, but I will. Like that's
Okay.
something that I want to do. I really want to put out this stuff. Like your content is so positive. It's logical, right? It's something that someone could digest and then like put into practice. And that's something that I want to do too. And talk about more like vibey stuff, get more into the meditating, how important that is to center yourself, like just self-love, taking time in the day to sit down, before you start anything and just get centered, so you're able, I feel like when you do meditate, you're more in a, you're not in a reactive state. You're in a state that you're able to process what's going on and then act in a way that best suits you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so kind of getting to that, starting from the building blocks of like, well, what do you do for yourself to get yourself to a more confident and competent position? Because confidence without competency is garbage. You're just a cocky loser, right? But when you are confident and you are competent, well, then you're dangerous in anything, in any aspect. And I think bringing practical knowledge and meditation, things of the sort, and putting it out there for guys, like I think it would be good. I like my perspective. I like the differences between men and women, and kind of shedding light to the fact that they're just they communicate differently, and that doesn't mean that they're evil. It just means you don't understand, and that's okay, because then you could learn.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I will say, so like if you go back and look at my old TikToks, like they're not as like overproduced. Like my newer stuff is a little bit more overproduced. I also like to do video editing, so it's like I don't mind doing that. But if you go and look at like Benny's stuff, right? If like this is a tip, for you, man. Go look at Benny's stuff. His stuff isn't overly produced, but he's got a huge following now. If you just like get your phone out and just start recording you saying whatever you're thinking, like you can knock out so much content so quick, and you don't have to like put a lot of effort into it, especially on TikTok. So just start recording. Don't overthink it. Just start talking, man. Yeah. And then worry about like editing and like, the zoom in and zoom out effects and fucking adding like B-roll shit. Like do all that stuff later. Like, just start.
That's like one of my things, because I do video editing too, but I'm just like, man, like if I start, it's gonna be work. But then you're right.
Yeah.
I remember like half of his videos are like freaking phone right here. He's in the car. Yeah. So it was my idea, and I'm just like, dude, I could, why not?
Yeah, dude, there's a lot of people on and they have like huge followings, and they're just talking to people in their cars, and a lot of my initial videos were just me like walking around my house, like talking. So yeah, don't overthink it. Just start recording and start building your following, man. Yeah.
Dude, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Let's see here. It's been a while since you've been on the podcast, and I know you've answered this question before, but since leaving and then coming back, what does being a 3% man mean to you? Has it changed?
I think there's a time where, like it's in us, it's in you as a man to make your own way. And a lot of the times, at least in my experience with 3% man and being in a relationship, you think, and he says it in the book, right? But you think like, I gotta, maybe I can tweak it and make it like, not so much as tweak it, but leave principles in that book behind.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've learned is that there's so many truths in that book, and there's so many things that are to be considered. And one of the most important things I truly believe is really making sure that when you do decide to be monogamous with somebody, that she does check all those boxes. And what changed, I guess, in that time, and after having that relationship, because I wrote a list, right? And she knocked most of those boxes, but not all of them. And with that being said, it's like, then I can't commit, and so that's the biggest walk away for me. That's the biggest walk away for me, is that the signs were there, but I decided, hey, I want to see it my way.
Mm-hmm.
And after seeing the aftermath of it and just being like, this is definitely not what I want, and I'm out. I look back at the basics and I'm just like, okay, well, I wanted to test whether or not the book is telling the truth. And one of the things he says is, you could ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Right? Because that works on both ways, right? Like,
it really does. Yeah.
Yeah. For all the good and all the, not so good stuff, I guess. Right. And so coming back, it's made me realize how incredible, like, cause I stopped talking to Jacob, Luke, you even, but when you have that consistent masculine energy, it makes you realize like, oh, okay, this is who I'm supposed to be too. You're not really supposed to duck out. You're supposed to be a consistent catalyst, for that growth for other individuals. Mm-hmm. And you should have a good, strong tribe with you. And so two of those things, your brotherhood is really important, that you should be talking to your brotherhood and the guys that you're close with as you go through your relationship stuff, as a litmus test on whether or not, like, sometimes your heart gets in the way, and that's okay. But, you learn long enough, and then your mind starts taking over, and that's good. So your friends are your litmus test, and then, they have a lot of insight and wisdom, and the list you make, and properly vetting girls or women is insanely important. So if I can say that I got anything, it's that. It's really be serious about what you want in life, and be serious about the support you have. Because when I looked around, I was reading some stuff a while ago, and it's like, most guys don't have consistent support. And this is one of the we're places where you don't necessarily have to pay for anything. People just want to help you and be there while they're on their journey. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
The only price is to do the work. That's it.
That's the price. Yeah, that's it. Absolutely. Changed my life.
Yeah, mine too. Do you want people to find you online? Where can people find you online?
Yeah, you could find me online. Nathan John De Leon is my Instagram. There's just a whole bunch of that's just my social media. So that's where you'll be able to find me.
All right. Are you going to do TikTok?
I'm gonna get into TikTok. I will. I'll give you something to shout out, but I don't have anything right now.
Okay. I hopefully, if you guys are listening to this now or watching now, if he has a TikTok, it'll be in the description. If not, follow him on Instagram.
You're awesome, man. I appreciate you.
All right, Nathan, thank you for joining me today, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on. It was cool. It's been a minute since I've been out here doing the thing, but life is good, and I just want to share that.
Yeah. Anytime, dude. Anytime. Nathan, thank you so much for coming back on the podcast, man. It's been a long time. Man. I'm so glad that you're back in the group too. You know, it's like when you haven't seen like a real brother in a long time, and they come back home. It's like, it's good, man. It's a good feeling. So I'm glad we were able to connect. I'm glad we were able to do this. Thank you for introducing me to Jacob, who was on last week. And one of these days, man, I'd love to do a live with you and Jacob, or even just do a record like this, just like the three of us just chopping it up. That would be fun. That'd be fun too, man. I think like we'd be dropping so much information in an episode like that. I think the audience would absolutely love it. All right, that's all I got, guys. So be sure, if you haven't done so already, like, subscribe, hit those notifications, drop a comment. Any comment will do. Even if it's your favorite emoji. Follow me on all social media. My links are in the description. Get on the Patreon, patreon.com/comeonmanpod. You can join for as little as $10. If you join for $10, you'll get on the beer credits, which I will show right after this. And you also get all of these episodes ad-free and then a couple of days early, because I drop these on Patreon for the Patreon members on Fridays. You get it early. You get it before anybody else. So that's only $10 a month. And then if you want some kind of coaching, check out tiers 2 or tiers 3 on patreon.com/comeonmanpod. Get on the email list.comeonmanpod.com. I will send you some free stickers for your troubles. I'm not spamming people. I'm really just trying to sort of hedge my bets with social media, because I've been deplatformed. I got kicked off my first TikTok account, as most of you guys know. So this is my way of sort of controlling access to my audience, because on these platforms like YouTube and stuff like that, I don't have control here. I don't have control over my audience. They own the audience. And if they decide they don't like me on their platform anymore, they can just end things one day and you will never know. So get on the email list. That way, if something like that does happen, I could email you and say, hey, follow me on Rumble or whatever. But Paul, why aren't you on Rumble? Because Rumble sucks. Like Rumble's UI totally sucks right now. But and then like no one would follow me there. It'd be so hard to create a following. That's why if you guys got on the list and I did move over to Rumble, like I could tell you about it, and then you could follow me over there. It could be a thing. So get on that. And then if you like these stickers and what they look like, the designs, they're all available in my merch store as like hoodies, tank tops, coffee mugs, stuff like that. Go to merch.comeonmanpod.com, get yourself some merch, and that supports the show as well. And then finally, check out my Practical Law of Attraction course. I dropped it at the end of December. It's doing well. I've got a lot of people that have taken it. If you go to loa.comeonmanpod.com, I actually have reviews there from people that have taken the course. Those are real reviews from real people that have taken it. It's got all 5 stars. It's got 100% 5-star rating right now. So a lot of people really like it. It's 4.5 hours long, but this course, if you learn this stuff in this course, it will change your life forever. Not just with women. It'll change your life with money, with your health, all that stuff. Like once you get your mind right, everything sort of falls into place. So check that out. All right, guys, that's all I have this week. Be sure to tune into my live stream on Wednesday. I don't know what the topic is because this is a pre-record, but I guarantee it's going to be good. I'm having a lot of fun doing these live streams on Wednesday and Friday mornings. Check those out, 10 a.m. Eastern time on YouTube, and then I post the replay later on Spotify and the audio platforms. But join for a live because it's really fun when you guys sound off in the live chat and I get that interaction going. It's really fun interacting with you guys. So do that. Otherwise, I guess we'll catch you later.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. New full episodes served hot every Monday morning on your favorite podcast platform of choice. So subscribe now. Follow Paul on social media. The links are in the description. Now, go out and get it.